Hey y'all. So you want to move abroad, maybe retire in another country someday? You will fail. Watch this video and find out how not to. I have been working on some new t-shirt designs this morning for a few hours, sitting hunched over at the computer. The sun is finally out. It's time for a break. Let's get outside a little bit and talk about the things you can do to prevent that failure. I'll give you a look how far it is from my house to the pool. Nobody wants to fail, and there's an easy solution, an easy way to prevent failure in most cases, right? I don't like speaking in absolutes, but there are a few things you can do to make sure your move or your retirement is successful and happy. And that is why we're moving after all. And here we are. So y'all familiar with the 6 P's? Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Today's video is all about planning, because if you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. Sound like old Army stuff? Yeah, sometimes it comes back to me. If you're planning to move abroad, one of the things you can do to prevent failure and to help you plan is to make lists. Make a lot of lists. Make a list of the places where you're going to consider moving. I know I had a list and had whittled it down to 10 before I moved. That list is going to help you narrow down your choices. Go and try out these places, but don't go in vacation mode. Right? You want to go with the focus of what would it be like to live here? Not what would it be like to live here for a week or two and hang out and have an unlimited supply of money because you're still working at home. But go with the idea of, I'm moving here. What would it be like to live here every day for 6 months or a year or the rest of my life? The top thing I recommend you do while you're exploring these places is track your spending. You've got to evaluate what you're spending your money on. And I'm not talking just things like food and water and drinks, things like that. Evaluate things like transportation costs, healthcare costs, activities, things that you would want to do. Do you have a hobby? Do you like to golf? How much does it cost to golf there? What would that golf habit cost you every month? So the things you like to do, go and do them. Learn what that expense is going to be long term for you. Like I said at the beginning, if you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. Your biggest planning should be financial planning. You want to start early, and I recommend you be as strict as you need to be. Now, everybody's budget is different. Nobody's making the same income. Nobody has the same tastes or style or desires or habits or hobbies as you do. And you're the only one who's going to be able to tell for sure how much you need to be happy in retirement. Long-term financial planning for your retirement or for your move abroad, just to move, even if you're not retiring, you're just going to go be a digital nomad. That long-term financial planning needs to start early, and you need to be aggressive with it. Make sure you have a plan and then work that plan. Know what things are going to cost where you're going so that you know how much you need to save or to be able to make once you make the move. Now, if you've watched the channel, you've heard me say before, boredom is dangerous. But the flip side of that, the party all the time approach, that's not the solution. A full-time party lifestyle can ruin your dreams financially, physically, emotionally, many ways. It can definitely multiply your problems in a full-time move abroad. Had to get in, it was getting too hot. Now, that doesn't mean I'm against going out and having a good time, right? Getting out there, socializing, that's all part of enjoying your move and your life. The problems come when that lifestyle becomes your life. If that's all that you do, you can expect to have issues later on. The two main things that cause people to fail when they make a long-term move abroad: poor planning financially, they don't have enough when they get there, or saying it another way, they didn't plan for the way they're living once they get there. If you arrive with a plan to take it easy, relax, be conservative with your budget, manage that budget well, chances are you're going to be okay. If you go out and start blowing that budget, whether it's here or at home, you blow a budget, you blow a budget. The difference is in retirement, you may not be able to make up what you've just spent. And running out of money is one of the top reasons people end up moving back home, or if you're still at home, having to start back to work. Or worse, if you moved abroad and then you have to move home and go back to work, that'd suck. Much cooler now. So some of you might be wondering what I mean by look into healthcare expenses, or when you travel, things that you should check out. And one of the things you can look into while you're visiting one of these places in review mode or investigation mode is healthcare expenses. I recently spent some time with a family who was here looking for their retirement home. They were on a scouting mission. And while we were riding around, the wife mentioned that she takes 5 or 6 medications regularly, and she was worried about healthcare costs here. So before they headed out, while they had called their Bolt or Grab to take them back to their hotel, I said, hey, there's a pharmacy right across the street. Do you know what medicines you take? Do you have your list with you, your dosages and things? Let's go in the pharmacy and ask. So one of the things you can look into when you're considering healthcare costs is, do you need a prescription for those medications where you're going? A lot of places in the West, I know the US is terrible about it. This lady had, like I said, 5 or 6 prescription medications from where she was from. And we were able to walk into the pharmacy, ask about them and whether or not they required a prescription here. None of them did. And when we got to the costs were significantly less than what she's paying with insurance in her home country. So it ended up being like 30 baht for 10 pills, and they were double dose of what she normally takes. So cut them in half. She'd had 20 pills for less than $1 US for 30 baht Thai. So those are the kind of things you can look into for healthcare costs. Go to the pharmacy. If you're on regular medication, see if you need a prescription here. See what it's going to cost here. Look into things like that. Still on healthcare, insurance can be a big expense, and in some places it can be a requirement for the visa that you're looking at. So those are some of the things you need to find out for yourself. Where you're going, are you required to have health insurance? If you have chronic health problems, you probably want health insurance anyway. Check out those plans. Go online. Search for healthcare providers, healthcare insurance providers in whatever country, whatever location, so that you can get an idea for the costs. It's funny. I don't know when it became popular or okay to be so needy. Is that what it is? Maybe it's just lazy, but some people need to learn how to Google. Honestly, I don't know how some folks watching these videos ever made it out of their mama's basements. And maybe you haven't, because some of the comments I get. I did a video recently, and the thumbnail, the picture that pops up on YouTube that draws your attention, that you click on to watch the video, was apartment or condo for rent under $200 US. And I got a comment, how much is the rent? So I don't know, maybe it was a joke. I know a lot of you like to comment about, oh, you should show a Google map, or you should convert to my local currency. Folks, by the time you type that question, you could have Googled it yourself and found the answer. So there's another tip. If you're thinking of moving abroad, you need to be a little more self-dependent, or rely on your own capabilities a little bit more to figure things out instead of waiting for everybody to hand them to you. When you've narrowed down your location, you say, okay, I want to move to Pattaya, Thailand. A couple more questions you need to start thinking about answering for yourself. Do I want to live in the city? Do I want to live in the suburbs? Or do I want to live outside of town? Well, have you thought about how you're going to get around? If you want to live outside of town, but you don't want to drive, you better factor in transportation costs, because you're going to be calling Bolts and taxis and Grab cars and all that other kind of stuff. You're going to need some money to get you into town when you need to go grocery shopping, or you need to go out and socialize, or do whatever it is you're going to do other than sit inside all day. If you're living outside of town, another thing to consider is eating. Your choices of eating out or street food might be a little bit more limited. Oh, what about water? Lots of places you can get water delivered, but is it delivered if you live outside of town? How are you going to get that water home? Just things to think about. That's why I say don't go in vacation mode, because in vacation mode, you wouldn't think about any of those things. You'd be staying somewhere you wanted to be, hanging out at the beach, close to food, close to fun, and that may not be real life for you once you move. You know, talking about reliant on yourself and confident in your own abilities, figuring out where your grocery store is, how you're going to get there, how you're going to get home is important. You can't rely on videos like this to tell you everything about an area. What I can tell you is you're going to need to figure it out. Go explore. Figure it out on your own. Google is your friend. It's toasty out here. I'm getting back in. Be right back. Now, the other thing that causes a lot of people to fail once they make a move abroad is boredom. You've got to get out of the house. You cannot sit in that condo or house or apartment or wherever all day long and do nothing. That's a recipe for disaster. When you sit around with nothing to do, all you're going to do is think about what you left behind, the people you left behind, the fun you used to have, the things you used to have. And making yourself homesick is just going to make you want to go home. So you've got to socialize. Go to the pool, go to a bar, sit a little bit, make friends, talk, shoot pool, throw darts, whatever it is you do. Go play golf, join a golf club. There are many golf clubs here in town, and they go out once or twice every week, a different club every week. 40 or 50 people will get together and go play golf at a time. It's a great way to make friends. Try a new sport or keep playing one that you like. So whether it's pickleball or badminton or golf or swimming, whatever it is, keep doing it or start doing it. But you got to get out of the house. Another thing you can do, start a YouTube channel. I've talked about that in this video up here. If you want to go watch that, it's a great thing to do. You can learn more about photography, videography. It's going to get you out and you're going to go places. You're going to get recognized. You're going to make new friends that way. Check that video out if you can't think of anything else to do in your retirement. I'll be right back. There's a third thing that causes people a lot of problems. I know I said I would talk about top two, but I'm going to throw this one in as a bonus. So that bonus third thing is not adapting to the culture and the location you've chosen. And the planning to get you past that is the mental preparation of getting ready to make the move, understanding the culture and the way of life where you're moving, and being willing to adapt to that culture. If you try and drag the culture and the lifestyle from home with you to the new place, you're going to fail. You have to be open to living a new lifestyle, living with new cultural norms, living the life of the country that you've picked. If you move to Thailand, where I moved, and you're not ready to adapt to the Thai way of doing things, you're going to struggle and it's going to be tough. And that's all self-imposed trouble that you don't need. Just be open to the change. It's going to make a life a whole lot better. Start out with a positive attitude. Prohibit that negativity from creeping back in, especially if you're coming from a Western culture. All that Western hostility and negativity, leave that at home before you get on the plane. Live a new life. Enjoy the new life. Plan for it. You'll enjoy it a whole lot better. I'm going to go enjoy this pool now. See you in the next one.